So I bought my first Leica Monochrome camera. This is the Leica M Type 246, a full-frame camera released back in 2015, having a 24 megapixel sensor, completely weather sealed. And in this video I'm going to share with you why I bought a monochrome camera, some tips for buying a used Leica M camera, shooting experience, some of the lenses and accessories that I have. But more importantly, it's important to know I only have this camera since 48 hours. So this is really a first impression. Yeah, so if you're actually somebody who shoots with a Leica M or an M monochrome, feel free to comment anytime because your feedback is appreciated. So why a monochrome camera? Over the last year and a half on this channel, I've kind of made a shift from being a complete gearhead, always wanting the latest and the greatest, to somebody who looks at cameras as tools for very specific use cases. So if you see, for instance, why I bought the Lumix S9 is because of an aspect ratio 65 by 24 panoramic X-pan. You can see a picture here. The Nikon D90 DSLR episode here. Very different reasons. So I treat cameras as tools. So they need to have certain features which I haven't shot before, or I really need them. And normally I also like cameras which are a little bit older. Now my fascination for black and white photography, I'm not a hardcore black and white photographer like some people are. And one of the things in this camera here is that there's no colors. There's simply not a Bayer layer over the sensor, which means that it has multiple light channels, if you want to call it that way, which allow you to shoot color and black and white. This camera doesn't have it. It only has a normal sensor without the Bayer filter, and that basically means you only have one channel of light, which makes it ideal for black and white photography, which is mainly exposing to the highlights and shadows. Very different way of shooting. Another reason for me to choose a Leica M is the very simple reason that I kind of like slower, older cameras. I don't need the latest and greatest, and this provides a very good reason. Digital sensoring, analog lenses. It's a great combo. A little tip for all of you: if you're considering buying your first Leica M camera, or you already have a Leica M and you want to kind of trade it, one tip I can really give you is always to go via a reputable dealer. Don't go on the used market unless you really know what you're doing. I paid the price for that when I in July bought my Leica M240. Great deal, 2,300 bucks, 3 batteries included, GPS grip included, leather protection case, leather strap, thumb grip, all included for that price. Was great. I had it one day and my SD card reader, a little lever broke into it, but it wouldn't read the SD as it was. So that was a problem. So I had to send it to Leica. Now 1,200 bucks later, I can finally, after 7 months of waiting, get my camera back. I should and could have avoided this if I only went via a reputable dealer. And meanwhile, so eager to shoot on the M, I bought an M8 from a reputable dealer, got it in, and you can't make it up again. SD card issues. And I sent it back to the dealer, who said, yeah, I've tested 8 or 9 cards. He says, well, he's kind of picky on what he takes. So he asked me if I wanted it back. I'm like, no, that's just a trip to the Leica repair center waiting to happen. And he refunded my money. So always go via a reputable dealer. It will save you a lot of hassle. Now let's discuss the first 48 hours of my little shooting experience with this Leica Monochrome. The first thing I noticed though was once you power up your camera and you go through the rangefinder and literally slowly align, you're seeing everything in color. Well, you're shooting black and white, you know, this is not the LCD kind of thing that we're also used to. This is really an optical viewfinder where you see the frame lines and you have to line up with the patch. And to be very honest, that takes a bit of time to getting used to, right? That really does. But I think it's the same as on my Nikon D90. I like those type of viewfinders. I don't particularly enjoy a viewfinder which is electronic because my eyes start tearing and stuff. So that's also why I don't mind shooting from cameras that either don't have a viewfinder or you can just shoot from LCD. Another thing that I really noticed was in the beginning I was shooting JPEG and RAW, or DNG as it's called in Leica language. And I quickly found out, because this camera is a black and white camera, it doesn't have any white balance, so shooting JPEG and RAW doesn't really make sense to me. So I immediately went to DNG, and with that you have two options. You can have the, let's say, compressed version of raw DNG, which gives you images of between 15 and 22 megapixels. Whereas if you do uncompressed, then you know it's 24 all the way up to 35 megapixels per picture, and you kind of need it. So let me know in the comments below, what do you shoot, compressed or uncompressed on your monochrome camera? And because this camera is a little bit older, it's almost a decade old, when I bought this I asked on my threads page, which I really suggest you come and pay a visit, because I do post daily my expands, but I'll also be doing a lot more in the monochromes and also on the Nikon stuff, so very different things. I asked the question, you know, what is the best tip that you can give me for a monochrome camera? And almost everybody said, you know, expose at least 1/3 of a stop to 2/3 of a stop in the minus, so you underexpose. And I didn't really understand that when it was said until I started shooting with this camera. It goes slower, and if you overexpose, yeah, you can't recover your highlights. Because I shoot in RAW, it becomes very important that in Lightroom or whatever editing software you have, you basically you need to bring down your highlights a bit most of the cases, but also with your shadows you can really recover a lot. And I have to say that the images here, you see a few flying by, pretty awesome. In terms of how they manage the shylight, shadows and the highlight, the shylights, in the way how you can retrieve so much information. Really nice. Downside is that, yeah, you do have to do a bit of editing. And in terms of how they manage the shylight, in the way how you can retrieve so much information. Really nice. Downside is that, yeah, you do have to do a bit of editing. You can actually register your lenses in the camera, and I just choose normally the Leica 35mm f1.4. This isn't technically a Leica lens, this is a Voigtlander, and you know, with that it kind of does the job. You do see your ISOs, your f-stops, your shutter speed, you do see that in Lightroom. Alternatively, I also have a little kit here where I can really mark the nocton so you get it, because this is what you want to see. As you can see here in the top, it says it's 35mm f1.4, right? That's nice. You know, this is what it really sees. Yeah, that's really nice. Oh, look at me now. So that's what it really sees, and that's something that I really like and appreciate. You can do this on your Fuji cameras as well, for instance, but it will never get the full set of metadata. Then when it comes to exposing here, this is one thing that I really have to get used to. Sometimes it works with me, sometimes it doesn't. So it's a little bit of a craft I need to learn. Now let's talk lenses and accessories. Currently I only have one really native Leica mount lens, which is the Voigtlander 35mm Nocton f1.4. Great little lens up until now. I've also used it on my Leica CL and on my Fuji cameras, and I really like it. You know, you use an adapter, you can get it. I do have two vintage lenses laying about, which is the Yashica 50mm f1.7 and the Yashica 135mm f4. I intend on using these on this camera as well. I have the adapter for it, but at the moment I'm still, you know, in those first 48 hours, I'm still going to shoot at least for 2 months with the 35, just to see how that all checks out, right? Then two other parts are the color filters. I bought a red color filter to get a little bit more contrast, and yellow so you can get a little bit better skin tones. Red I've just tested out this morning, yellow will come. Yeah, and if you made it up until now, please like and subscribe if you're interested. And then I've bought, and that's one thing I noticed with the patch, I'm sometimes wearing glasses. So I bought a diopter, because I really noticed that sometimes you're squinting, and this is on a 35, the patch seems to be smaller once you go into narrower focal lengths, what I've been told. I don't know if this is true. Times diopter, so big magnification onto it. I'm waiting for that to arrive, and with that I think I'm kind of settled.